Day 109, 1 Chronicles 13-15. The Ark brought to Jerusalem. 13. Bring back the Ark. 14. David's house and family. David defeat the Philistines. 15. The Ark brought to Jerusalem. Point ponder. The Ark of the Covenant is a prominent feature of Chronicles, being mentioned more than 40 times. So it should not come as big surprise that events surrounding the journey of the Ark to Jerusalem consumed 3 full chapters. The lesson is clear. The right action done with the right motives but carried out in the wrong way produces deadly consequences. How about you? Are you doing the right things with the right motives in the right way?
Chapter 13. David consulted with the captains of thousands and of hundreds, even with every leader. David said to all the assembly of Israel, If it seems good to you, and if it be of the Lord our God, let us send abroad everywhere to our brothers who are left in all the land of Israel, with whom the priests and the Levites are in their cities that have suburbs, that they may gather themselves to us. And let us bring again the ark of our God to us, for we didn't seek it in the days of Saul. All the assembly said that they would do so, for the thing was right in the eyes of all the people. So David assembled all Israel together, from the Shihor, the brook of Egypt, even to the entrance of Hamath, to bring the ark of God from Kiriath-Jearim. David went up, and all Israel, to Baalah, that is, to Kiriath-Jearim, which belonged to Judah, to bring up from there the ark of the Lord God that sits above the cherubim, that is called by the name. They carried the ark of God on a new cart, and brought it out of the house of Abinadab, and Uzzah and Ahio drove the cart. David and all Israel played before God with all their might, even with songs, and with harps, and with psalteries, and with tambourines, and with cymbals, and with trumpets. When they came to the threshing floor of Chidon, Uzzah put forth his hand to hold the ark, for the oxen stumbled. The anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and he struck him, because he had put forth his hand to the ark, and there he died before God. David was displeased because the Lord had broken forth on Uzzah, and he called that place Perez Uzzah to this day. David was afraid of God that day, saying, How shall I bring the ark of God home to me? So David didn't move the ark to him into the city of David, but carried it aside into the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite. The ark of God remained with the family of Obed-Edom in his house 3 months, and the Lord blessed the house of Obed-Edom and all that he had. Chapter 14. Hiram king of Tyre sent messengers to David, and cedar trees, and masons, and carpenters to build him a house. David perceived that the Lord had established him king over Israel, for his kingdom was exalted on high, for his people Israel's sake. David took more wives at Jerusalem, and David became the father of more sons and daughters. These were the names of the children whom he had in Jerusalem: Shammua and Shobab, Nathan and Solomon, and Ibhar and Elishua, and Eliphet, and Nogah and Nepheg, and Japhia, and Elishama, and Belihada, and Eliphalet. When the Philistines heard that David was anointed king over all Israel, all the Philistines went up to seek David, and David heard of it, and went out against them. Now the Philistines had come and made a raid in the valley of Rephaim. David inquired of God, saying, Shall I go up against the Philistines, and will you deliver them into my hand? The Lord said to him, Go up, for I will deliver them into your hand. So they came up to Baal Perazim, and David struck them there. And David said, God has broken my enemies by my hand, like the breach of waters. Therefore they called the name of that place Baal Perazim. They left their gods there, and David gave commandment, and they were burned with fire. The Philistines yet again made a raid in the valley. David inquired again of God, and God said to him, You shall not go up after them. Turn away from them, and come on them over against the mulberry trees. It shall be, when you hear the sound of marching in the tops of the mulberry trees, that then you shall go out to battle, for God has gone out before you to strike the host of the Philistines. David did as God commanded him, and they struck the host of the Philistines from Gibeon even to Gezer. The fame of David went out into all lands, and the Lord brought the fear of him on all nations. Chapter 15. David made himself houses in the city of David, and he prepared a place for the ark of God, and pitched for it a tent. Then David said, None ought to carry the ark of God but the Levites, for them has the Lord chosen to carry the ark of God, and to minister to him forever. David assembled all Israel at Jerusalem, to bring up the ark of the Lord to its place which he had prepared for it. David gathered together the sons of Aaron and the Levites, of the sons of Kohath, Uriel the chief, and his brothers, 120. Of the sons of Merari, Asaiah the chief, and his brothers, 220. Of the sons of Gershom, Joel the chief, and his brothers, 130. Of the sons of Elisaphan, Shemaiah the chief, and his brothers, 200. Of the sons of Hebron, Eliel the chief, and his brothers, 80. Of the sons of Uzziel, Aminadab the chief, and his brothers, 112. David called for Zadok and Abiathar the priest, and for the Levites, for Uriel, Asaiah, and Joel, Shemaiah, and Eliel, and Aminadab, and said to them, You are the heads of the fathers' houses of the Levites. Sanctify yourselves, both you and your brothers, that you may bring up the ark of the Lord, the God of Israel, to the place that I have prepared for it. For because you didn't carry it at the first, the Lord our God made a breach on us, because we didn't seek him according to the ordinance. So the priests and the Levites sanctified themselves to bring up the ark of the Lord, the God of Israel. The children of the Levites bore the ark of God on their shoulders with the poles, as Moses commanded according to the word of the Lord. David spoke to the chief of the Levites to appoint their brothers the singers, with instruments of music, psalteries and harps and cymbals, sounding aloud, and lifting up the voice with joy. So the Levites appointed Heman the son of Joel and his brothers, Asaph the son of Berechiah, and of the sons of Merari their brothers, Ethan the son of Cushiah, and with them their brothers of the second degree, Zechariah, Ben, and Jaziel, and Shemiramoth, and Jehiel, and Unai, Eliab, and Benaiah, and Maaseiah, and Mattathiah, and Elephalu, and Micaiah, and Obed-Edom, and Jael the doorkeepers. So the singers, Heman, Asaph, and Ethan, were appointed with cymbals of brass to sound aloud, and Zechariah, and Aziel, and Shemiramoth, and Jehiel, and Unai, and Eliab, and Maaseiah, and Benaiah, with psalteries set to Alamoth, and Mattathiah, and Elephalu, and Micaiah, and Obed-Edom, and Jael, and Azaziah, with harps tuned to the 8-string lyre to lead. Chenaniah, chief of the Levites, was over the song. He instructed about the song because he was skillful. Berechiah and Elkanah were doorkeepers for the ark. Shebaniah and Josaphat and Nethanel and Amasai and Zechariah and Benaniah and Eleazar the priest did blow the trumpets before the ark of God, and Obed-Edom and Jehiah were doorkeepers for the ark. So David and the elders of Israel and the captains over thousands went to bring up the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of the house of Obed-Edom with joy. It happened, when God helped the Levites who bore the ark of the covenant of the Lord, that they sacrificed 7 bulls and 7 rams. David was clothed with a robe of fine linen, and all the Levites who bore the ark, and the singers, and Chenaniah, the master of the song with the singers, and David had on him an ephod of linen. Thus all Israel brought up the ark of the covenant of the Lord with shouting, and with the sound of the cornet, and with trumpets, and with cymbals, sounding aloud with psalteries and harps. It happened, as the ark of the covenant of the Lord came to the city of David, that Michal, the daughter of Saul, looked out at the window, and saw King David dancing and playing, and she despised him in her heart.